So my name is Dominic, or some people call me Mr. Hackathon online. I was previously a software developer, and now I'm what's called a no-code developer, which I'll tell you more about in a little bit. Um, but I work with a lot of universities. I work with a lot of high schools across the world, teaching people how to develop software without coding. This can be websites, it can be games, it can be Chrome extensions, it could be native mobile applications and more. Some people want to build startups. Some people want to build lifestyle businesses, and some people just want to build for fun. And I show them how to do that. A little bit about me before we get into no code and low code and the space, and before we get into a tutorial on how to actually build something. My name is Dominic. As I previously mentioned, my journey into programming and what is no code now actually started with HTML and CSS. A very long time ago, there was a social platform called MySpace, and on MySpace, you could actually customize the layouts using HTML and CSS. And I was born and raised in London, and over here in London, in high school, people would pay you to make custom layouts for them. And for me, I was like, oh, this is perfect. I can make money doing this. And it was my first introduction to the technology, but really like getting that feel for entrepreneurship and also programming. During that time, they also had a platform called Adobe Dreamweaver, which was a website builder. So a website builder is like, I'm not sure if anybody's heard of Wix or Squarespace or Webflow. There's lots of tools that allow you to build websites without coding. Um, Dreamweaver was one of them a very long time ago. I am formerly an international athlete and architectural technologist. So since the age of 6, I was playing basketball. I played for the English national team. I got a scholarship to go to the US and play basketball in the US, where I was an architecture and construction student. And the interesting thing about my academic career is that architecture, I loved architecture, but it was really artistic to me, and I wanted something more technical. And construction was very technical, but I wanted something more creative. And my professors encouraged me to get into architectural technology. So I ended up doing internships and eventually becoming an engineer working in the architectural and construction field. I was developing, implementing, and maintaining drones for building inspections and buildings, using virtual and augmented reality for architects, and using 3D scanners to scan buildings. A lot of really emerging technology for some of the biggest clients in the world, such as Amazon, such as Blue Origin, such as Mercedes. And this was all in the US. Most recently, in the last maybe 2 or 3 years, I have been a content creator, I have been an instructor, and I have been partnering brands and teaching people in universities how to build software without coding, how to build mobile apps, how to build different types of applications. One of the reasons I do this is because I really believe in empowering people and empowering local communities. As you will see later in my brief presentation, the way I have used this technology is to help my community here in the UK, and I hope people can do the same after I teach them. So we're going to talk a little bit about no code, what it is, low code, what it is, and I will go over its connection to programming because no code seems like there's no code involved, but there is code involved. So, firstly, you always have to have a problem. And right now, for most people in most countries, developing software, developing mobile applications, creating websites, um, making different types of technology is really expensive. As you can see locally, there's many businesses that need websites that might not have websites. There's many businesses where technology can make things a lot easier for them and they might not have it. It's the same here in the UK. It's the same here all over the world. But it's really expensive for businesses. And no code attempts to solve that. Also, programming is a specialist skill. No code is in some instances easier than programming and less time consuming than programming, which opens it up to more people being able to use it. But the conversation isn't to program or not to program. Programming is a crucial part of developing software. And if you can program and know how to use the tools that I'm about to show you, that is the sweet spot. That is the spot where you're the most powerful, because you know how to leverage code when you need to leverage code, but also for certain tasks where you don't need to code, you don't code. You just want to find the most efficient way and most cost effective way to develop software. So, a summary of no code is that it's an umbrella term to describe products that allow people to develop software with minimal coding ability. There is a wide spectrum. I use the term low code too. Low code actually does use code, but that's probably on the higher end of the spectrum when you get closer to programming. So if anyone has any questions, because I can't actually see you, just unmute, shout out your question. I'll answer your question whenever you have the question, especially as we go through the tutorial. So technologies, there's different technologies in this no-code space. You have website builders like Webflow, Squarespace, Wix. I'm trying to think of the one that's probably the most popular. Uh, I can't remember its name. You have automation tools like Zapier, Parabola. This allows you to automate tweets. It allows you to automate invoices if you're a business. Almost anything that is a repetitive task, you can automate, and you don't need somebody to continuously fill in administrative tasks or continuously send an email after an event has been triggered. You can use software to automate this without coding. Virtual and augmented reality, as you can see, Snapchat has a platform that allows you to create AR filters and virtual reality filters and games also. Instagram has one, TikTok now has one, Unity has one. So you can create virtual and augmented reality experiences to boost the local economy, to really help bring technology to your local community. You can create games without coding using tools such as Buildbox. You can create NFTs. You can create smart contracts without coding if you're interested in the blockchain and Web3 space. You can create chatbots and voice applications. If you're familiar with Alexa, a lot of Alexa skills can be created without coding. You can manage a database without coding. So we're not going to go over this, but this is extremely powerful, especially for front end developers that struggle with the back end. You can use no code exclusively for your back end, and if you want to code using your with the front end, you can do that too. So it's empowering different people in different ways. You can also create mobile applications without coding. I will show you some that I've created, and there's different projects I've created that I'll show you. Um, so next is careers and opportunities. This is really a big thing for a lot of people. What you see, especially in the UK, US, a lot of different countries, is the rise of what's called citizen developers. So if you want to research this afterwards, just Google citizen developer. And what you have now is a lot of tools to allow people that are not particularly technical to develop automations inside big businesses, to create databases inside businesses that are not a part of the core software engineering team or the IT team. And this is an advantage that you can have over your peers. For example, when people are saying on their resumes or on their CV that they can use Excel, you can go a step further. You know how to create automations in Excel, to trigger scripts in Excel. This is what a citizen developer does. You can also be a freelance developer. So previously, I've done this if someone needed a website, a mobile application, if they just needed consulting on how to build their mobile application. Being able to use these skills and being able to build your portfolio to show what you can do allows you to do this. You can manage an agency. So there's lots of people, especially in nations outside of the UK and US, that are developing an agency. So once you develop the skills, you can also teach other people how to the skills. And when you get the work or when you get the contracts, you can have your team actually carry out the work, and you can become more a manager of these developers than the developer yourself. You can become a founder. So there's two founder routes really. One is a bootstrap founder. So this is just the name of a founder who doesn't get venture capital. It's someone who wants to just go out, build a business. They get money from their business and they invest it back in their business. They use it to pay salaries, and they have no interest in getting investment from VCs. But there's also a venture capital route, and often venture capitalists ask you to demonstrate traction or demonstrate you're actually solving a problem. And this is a quick and easy way to demonstrate you're actually solving a problem and gain some traction without taking 6 months, 9 months to develop something using programming. You can become a content creator and instructor. I've done this. I still do this. I create lots of content around AI, blockchain, when it comes to no code and developing applications using no code. I partner with brands, and brands sponsor me to create that content for YouTube and TikTok. Or you can just be a hobbyist. So you don't feel that you have to use this to monetize in any way. If you're like me and you just like creating stuff, you can just create cool things to really have fun. Again, if anyone has any questions, just feel free to jump in and ask what question you have. So communities is a big thing in the no code space. There are some communities on Twitter and communities that you can find in Google that will really help your journey if you want to learn more about it. One is On Deck. Another one is 100 Days of No Code. This is a really interesting community. You enter a challenge to build projects for 100 days, and it takes you through learning paths and a bunch of tutorials for you to build lots of different projects. MakerPad, if you Google MakerPad, you'll find lots of free resources to do in no code. Indie Hackers. Indie Hackers is a uh, good website for entrepreneurs. And Product Hunt. So on Product Hunt, it's a little bit different. If anyone has built a product, an app, a website, if you're planning to build one, it's a great marketing tool. But also, if you're curious and slightly interested, it's good to look at Product Hunt and see what creators are making, but also follow them on Twitter and follow them on social media, because a lot of the creators are providing really, really valuable information. It's where I get a lot of my information from, other creators. So we're going to go over some of the projects I've made before we actually get into this tutorial. So the first one's Missing Black People. As many places in the world, uh, Black people are being discriminated against, especially here in the UK, as you may know. Black people in the UK are going missing at a disproportional rate to white people, Asian people, other communities, and really no one talks about it here in the UK. So I built a site that aggregates all the missing Black people appeals in the UK and amplifies them. This was featured on BBC. It was featured on Vice UK. It was featured in the Independent and lots of different media outlets. And we work with bigger charities and we work with government entities to reduce the discrimination when it comes to missing Black people and the search for Black people. And this platform was built using no code. Crypto Scam Detector. This is a Chrome extension that I built that has 105 users. I don't advertise it much, but it was created again using no code, and it was to detect crypto scams. So what it does, it uses the CoinMarketCap API. If anyone's familiar with crypto and blockchain, you might be familiar with CoinMarketCap, and it validates if the current website somebody's on is also in CoinMarketCap. And if it's not in CoinMarketCap, it says that the website's unsafe. If it is in CoinMarketCap, it says that it's safe. Very, very simple no code project. Web3, as you can see, there's a crypto theme here. But Web3 was this very, very simple directory, similar to what we're going to create in the tutorial today. But I curated all these different resources. At the time of taking this, there was 239. I curated it. I put it into an app. I put it in the App Store and the Google Play Store. I think I might have taken it down. I can't remember. So now we're going to go into the tutorial on how to actually build something with no code. What we're going to use is a tool called Glide. So Glide is probably one of the easiest no code tool. So it's glideapps.com. That's the website. It's free, but it does have a premium offering where you can activate more features. But for what we need, is going to be perfect for what we need. What we're also going to do is use Google Sheets, and this is going to be our backend. If I just remove that, this is going to be our backend database. It's not a very complex database. It's a very, very simple database, but this is where we're going to be storing our data initially. With Glide, there are other options. I just thought Google Sheets is probably one of the most accessible to most people. What we're going to create is a tourism app for Kingston. I might have some of these places wrong. Hopefully I don't. You guys will probably know better than I do. I just grabbed different places from the internet that sound interesting. And so what we want to do to create this, and this is being recorded. So if you miss something, you'll have a link afterwards, or you'll be able to view on my YouTube and just follow along if you wanted to create it again. So anytime you create an app with Glide, you want to start with the backend database, and you want to think about what types of data that you're actually storing. We don't have no data relationships. This is just a simple directory app. And what you need is the headers, and you need data. So as you can see, I have activity name here. This is just a text, description text. I have an image, which is a URL. We're going to go over that in a little bit. Category, location, and URL. So I started by adding the data to save time. What we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to add an image, then we're going to initiate our app. So Google Sheets and Glide is a little different in that you need to add a URL. You don't need to add a Google Drive URL, but you do need to add URL for images. And so what we're going to do here for Cane River Falls is I am going to just find a random image. Save that image. And then this part is important. You will be able to watch this back in case you missed this. So what we're going to do is go to Google Drive. We're just going to put it anywhere in the Google Drive. It doesn't really matter where we put it in the Google Drive, but really we want the URL. So we need to host it in our Google Drive, or really anywhere. I don't think that. We need to let that load. And once that's loaded, we want to do something interesting. So we need to go here to share. Then we want to change it from restricted to anyone with the link. We want to copy the link and click done. And then we can just paste the link in here. So we only need to do this initially when we're adding some like data to begin with. But once our app is initiated, if you want to add more data, you can actually add it through the app. So what we're going to do now is initiate our app. And so we're going to open Glide. Again, it's free. Okay. As you can see, I have many, many projects built here. Some of them are live. Most of them are not live. But I am going to go to my team. And as you can see here, it says new project. So we're going to click on new project. We're going to give our project a name. And you can either create a desktop, or really this is more like a web app, or you can create a PWA, a progressive web app. And so we're going to create a progressive web app. And as you can see here, you can add a source. So Glide Tables is the native CMS that they have, or the native database they have. Excel, Airtable, or you can import. So we're going to use Google Sheets. And what we will see is Timeout Kingston here. And then we select OK. And now it's going to build out our app. Okay, so what it's done now is taken the data and it's built out our app, and it gives us a dashboard to work with. So on the left, we see some options. On the right, we see some options. But what we want to do, the first thing I like to do is actually reduce the amount of information that just came in that I won't be using. So as you can see, you have activities here, users, and another one called users. And I don't want these two users menu. That's not for the end consumer. That's not for the person using the app. So I'm going to hide these tabs. And as you can see, it's removed the menu. If, let's say, for instance, I had another tab in my Google spreadsheet, it will show up here. And all I have to do is show it for that menu to come back. But we're going to hide this. The next thing I want to do is I want to change the style. So right here is the list style. You have tiles. Let's say if you had an events app, you could have the calendar. I don't have no dates in my database, and Glide recognizes that. We have a map, checklist. So if I actually go back to the map, because I do have locations in my database, it does show. If I go here, it uses the Mapbox API, and it does show the locations. And some of these are in the wrong place, but that's okay. Checklist, cards, swipe. So swipe is a kind of a Tinder style or dating app style where you can swipe left and swipe right. Details, that's not for this particular thing that we're doing right now. But what I want to do is cards. That's the one I like to go with. So by default, it gives us this card style styling. But then I go to edit cards. And what I want to do, as you can see, the image is not showing up. That's because my content isn't mapped correctly. So image right now is mapped to activity name when actually it should be mapped to activity image. So when we do that, the images show up. We have activity description as the header, and I don't really want that as the header. I don't actually want a header. And what we want for the title is the activity name. And maybe we want the activity description as the details. So what we have here is looking 100 times better right now, but we can actually go a step further. So when someone clicks on this, we can trigger action. Right now, it's going to show a detail screen, but we can change this to do whatever we want it to do. So copy to a clipboard, we can delete a role, dial phone number. There's so many different options that we can add. Trigger a zap. So a zap connects to Zapier, which is an automation platform. So you can trigger invoices being created, or you can trigger whatever your mind can imagine, as long as there is some kind of API for it. You can trigger a webhook. Again, this is where it connects to programming. If you want to connect it to OpenAI or some kind of API that does interesting things, you can actually do that. We want to keep it simple for this tutorial, and we want to just show the detail screen for the item. We can change the image shape. So as you can see there, the shape changes slightly. We can change the size. So let's go to half size. But you can't really read the text, so I'll go back to full size. We can change the card style. We can change the orientation. For this app, I won't need that. But you could have it horizontal there, and you could add information below or another list below. This top...
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Is it possible, because right now I'm looking at the screen or the app of what it would look like. It looked like it's on an iPhone right now. Is it possible to see what it would look like if it was on an Android?
Let's see. So Android would be...
Okay.
Yeah. So that's
all
what
right.
That's what it looked like. It's not too different, but yeah, that's what it looks like on Android.
And if this app was to be deployed, it would be able to deploy on both platforms,
So
or you can choose.
right now it's a progressive web app. So when I publish
Okay,
this, there's a URL that they go to, and they can view it like it's a website, but it has more features than a website. You
okay,
can you can use another tool to export it, like export an actual build file. So you can submit it to the Google Play Store. So you can submit it to the App Store. But you do need another the tools right here. I'll go over that tool at the end. But you can use
okay.
another tool to export it as an actual app. But it doesn't need to be an app to be effective. If anyone else has any questions, just feel free to shout it out because I can't really see everybody. And so we have this here, and when we click on this, it's going to show us the details. But I don't really like the way this looks, so I'm actually going to add some additional components. So to add components here, as you can see, all these details are blocks here. And there's additional blocks that I can add. So I can add comments, I can add notes, I can add a rating, which I will add. If I had a form, I can allow people to upload a file, to do a drop down menu. There's lots of different things here that we can add. But I want to start by adding an image. I'm going to put this at the top. And again, I want to make sure I map this to the right thing. So from URL, or not, this is from activity image. So the image shows up there. I can even add an action when they click the image again, but we're not going to do that. So I like how this title is. I'm going to remove this here. It says the category is museum. I have that for a reason. I'm going to show you that shortly. The location. So I don't want this location like this. I actually want the location on a map. So I'm going to remove this, and I'm going to add the map component. So here we have the map component. It has the location. I'm just double checking. Yeah, has location. And this is where this location is. Also right here, it has the URL, but if I click on this, it has the URL, but I want an actual button. I want this to look better than it looks. And so I am going to add a button. And I am going to change this go to visit website. I'm going to remove this URL. So now I have the image, title, the category, this link to visit the website, and a map. And maybe I'll add one more thing. I'm going to add a rating. But to add a rating, I need to update my database so there's somewhere to store a rating. So you can do this in real time. When you have the database, you can go back and forth and update things in the database, and it will reflect in Glide. So what I'm going to do is add a category for rating or column for rating. I personally like to format it a little bit. We're going to go back. In a second, it identifies in real time that new columns have been added. And so now, when I add rating, I maybe want to move this up here maybe. And I'm actually going to remove the category from this section. And I want to map it to the rating column here. And now, when I select 4 out of 5, you should actually see the update. If I was to refresh this, you would see the update in one of the columns. Yeah, you can see 4 there. So what is going to do with the rating is aggregate the users selecting the rating. Something we have here that we don't want here is this edit. So right now, anybody can come in and use our app, but also edit the information here on this listing. We don't want that. We want to limit who actually edits. So we'll click on this edit. Oh, no. We want to go to edit form, and we want to uncheck allow users to edit, and it will just remove that option. But we could add a condition, and we can add a condition when a user is an admin, only admins can edit. We're not going to do that. We're just going to allow remove any option for anyone to edit this information directly in the app. So now, even though we edited that only that first one, if we was to go to this one, you can actually see it's updated here too. It's the same thing. And it's the same with all of the information. All of it has been updated. Does anyone have any questions so far? Okay, we're going to keep going. So the next thing we want to do is allow user profiles. The reason we want to allow user profiles because we want to add a feature where users can favorite their favorite activities and save it in some kind of a bookmark area. Something that we didn't see previously is I do actually have a tab called users here. And all I have, you could add as much information here as you want to add here. For example, if you can have a column called maybe like permissions, and you can give someone admin permissions or guest permissions. You can add all the information you want to add here for users, just like you would if you was coding. But all I've done is full name, email, profile image, which is really the minimum you can add. So we're going to go to user profile. And right now it's mapped to Glide's internal user profile system, but we want to map it to this user profile system here. And as you can see, it's automatically updated, and it's automatically mapped the name to the full name, the email to the email, and the image. The image, as you can see, role is also an option here. And so now we've done that. When we go back, we can uncheck favorites bar, and you can see it's added a favorites bar. But when we click on this, there's no items in a favorites bar. And there's no way for the user to create an item in a favorites bar. The way we want to do this is go to edit cards, scroll down, we add a button, and we can add a favorite button. So as you can see on each of these, it's added a kind of heart so you can like this. So now when I like that first one, if I go to favorites, you can see it there. I can uncheck it, it comes out the favorites. Same with all of them. What we also want to do is we want to allow users to filter these activities. So right now, the activities it's just showing you everything. We want to allow users to filter. So the first thing we want to do is display the different categories that are there. And the way we're going to do this is with overlays, there's tag. And the tag is actually the category. So as you can see here, it says museum now, gallery, museum, and that's the tag. And to allow users to filter, what we want to do is add options, add filter. I need to actually remove this. We want to go to in-app sort, add sort, and we want to sort by category. Now, when they go to there, let me go back. And now it's sorted, should be sorted by the category. Now all the museums are sorted together. All the galleries, well, there's only one gallery, should be sorted together. We can also use the search feature. So let's just say River Falls. The search filter works perfectly. The last thing we want to do is to make some changes to the configuration of the app. So we want to go to settings. We want to change the name. That's the first thing we want to do. The name's Timeout Kingston. That's fine. The author's Dominic. But maybe we want to change the image. You can either upload the image. Put the flag there. We have the appearance. We can change the appearance. Right now, I think it is matching my device settings, and my device settings is on dark mode. So right now, if I remove match device's theme, what you can see is you can change it to like be pure white, dark, have a color. You can change it to whatever you want to change it to. You can change the font. So we can change the font to whatever we want. The next thing we want to do is to change the privacy. We can make public with email is what we are actually do for this. You can make it public, which means anyone can just access it. They don't have to use their email to log in. You can allow people to sign in with a Google account. So let's just allow them to do that. You can collect their real email addresses, or you can use virtual fake email addresses. But the real addresses, you have to upgrade to do that. So we're going to leave that. Sign in screen. So we can change the welcome sign in screen. With the pro account, you can change the background. You can change the logo. You can add more customization. So I might just say, just leave it as please enter your email address. And the last thing we want to do is to publish. So just to publish, we just click publish. We can change the subdomain. I'm just going to do Timeout Kingston. And now the domain is timeoutkingston.glideout.com. We can add a custom domain. So if I just wanted it to be timeoutkingston.com, that's possible too. But again, that will require an upgrade. So we publish. And now our app is live. You can view it at timeoutkingston.glideapp.io. We're going to open it on the computer. So this is what our progressive web app will look like on the computer. On the mobile, it actually looks like a mobile app, but on the computer, it looks like this. And we just give it a second to load. So now if we sign in, I will sign in with Google. And now it's signing me in. So this is what our app looks like. We can add it to the favorites. Go to our favorites. We can see what's in our favorite, take it out. We can click on it, find more details, leave a rating, visit the website, and click on this, I don't think I actually set this up. So if we jump back, so if we go to the details screen, go to button, we have to set up the actions. As you can see, it showed the notification. What we want to do is go to a link, open link, the URL, the target's the browser. We can do web view too. So web view is just opening it inside this PWA. One of the issues with web view is not every website opens in web view. Some websites actually block web view, but this website should be okay, I guess. This updates in real time. So maybe if I refresh this, I'm not sure about, yeah. I'll just refresh this and I should be able to see the changes. I can change this made with Glide from a Google Sheet without writing any code. I can change that. I can change the by my team. So now we scroll down. It opens this website up in our app. So that is how it works. The final part is if you wanted to deploy to the Google Play Store or the App Store with this particular platform, with Glide, you can't do that natively. You have to use a tool like this, Nativator, where it wraps your progressive web app, uses some code, and it allows you to export it in a way that allows you to upload to the App Store or upload to the Google Play Store. There are some tools like Odalo or like Flutterflow that allow you to directly push to the Google Play Store, App Store. I have used Odalo a lot. Flutterflow allows you to export Flutter code, which is really amazing. I use really both. It depends on what I'm actually building. So that is how to build a mobile application without coding.
Hi, I do. So you've created an app, and you are more moving to the stages of like, how do you get your app out there? How do you, like, even with your app that was so useful to many, how did you get your app out into the public and bring attention to it?
Yeah. So I'll start with missing black people. So missing black people, the first thing I did is I tweeted about it. I tweet a lot about stuff I build, and I tweeted about it, and I think I made it on like a Friday night, and it went viral on the weekend. Lots of media outlets started contacting me. That's the good thing about things that are solving social issues. People are usually really friendly to it. The media are usually really friendly to it. Um, I started contacting other charities, and other charities contacted me, and we started partnering on stuff. The Chrome extension that I have for detecting crypto scams, again, I tweeted it out. I don't market that project a whole lot, but a lot of it is trying different stuff. So some things I do cold calling and cold messaging, cold emails. Some things I do cold messaging on LinkedIn. Sometimes I post on Product Hunt. So Product Hunt was, and this is recorded, so you can watch the beginning bit back. But Product Hunt is a tool where people and entrepreneurs are launching their products. But there's lots of communities online that allow you to amplify your projects and what you're working on. So I guess a good start is launch on Product Hunt, launch on Indie Hackers, and if you can, launch on AppSumo. But these are things to kind of research first. You'll be able to watch this back and kind of catch any of those names back. A lot of it is about not building in secret. You have to tell everybody about your app or what you're working on on Twitter, on Facebook, on WhatsApp, whatever. Just try and tell everybody about it always. And that's hard, especially if you're a builder. Like, I'm a builder. I love building. I don't love marketing as much, but they have to go hand in hand. Does that answer
Thank
your
you.
question?
Yes, it does. Thank you very much. Also, can I ask that you drop your YouTube in the
Yeah.
chat?
Yeah, I'll drop my YouTube in the chat. I'll also
Thank you.
share it via email, and make sure it gets distributed via email, because I know the chat disappears. So
All right, question. So you use one Google Sheet with one database. Suppose you want to create separate multiple databases. How would you go about that?
okay, with this Google Sheet, think of each tab as one database. So remember, I had the user tab, and then I had the activities tab. Think of those as as two separate databases, rather than the Google Sheet as one database. But with this particular tool, you're limited to Airtable, Google Sheets, Excel, and Glide tables. And with those, you can create relational databases, but it requires you to know how to create relational databases. There's another tool you can use called Xano. I'll write this in the chat. There's another tool you can use called Xano. Xano is really powerful. Again, this is like a no-code backend tool, but you cannot use Glide with it. You would have to use Flutterflow. You would have to use Adalo. There's other tools you can use with it. But it really depends on what tool you want to use. I've shown you Glide, but there's lots of others. I mentioned Flutterflow a lot because it's pretty advanced, but it's not. It's still no code. Flutterflow actually uses Firebase as the backend database, so you can use Firebase as the backend database for Flutterflow.
Okay, thank you.